everybody. I don't know. I'm going to assume we are live in Facebook and
Do I
uh
check?
happy Friday night. You can check. Happy Friday night. It's
Yep,
January 16th,
here we
right?
are.
Oh, Lord, half the month is already gone. We're
I know.
through. Oh, wow. Everything happens so fast.
To be.
It really does. And so we are here, and is this the first Watch, Learn, and Create of this year, right?
Oh, is that right? Well, first for me, for sure, but
Yep.
didn't
We
you have
had the
something
first show
else
and
in
tell
there?
last, yeah, first show and tell this week, and this is the first Watch, Learn, and Create of 2026. Thank you for being our guest, Lydia
Well,
Steeves.
thank you for asking me. Thank you for
And
everybody out there.
yeah, and thank you for everybody out there. And if you're watching us live in or penciling, it's pencil tonight.
It is pencil, but I'm going to show the background this time because I think we have time and some people were,
Interested.
asking that. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
just thought we would pop it in because it's so pretty and it's part of this whole look, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's very
Yeah,
pretty.
a bit
So,
nice. Yeah.
so if you're going to be creating art with us tonight, please let us know in the chat. If you have any questions, you can always purchase any of her Critter Square or Pastel live classes, mini classes, if you will, on her website, lydiasteeves.com. And some of them are under Critter Squares, and the other ones are under Pastel. Yes.
Well, it depends what you want.
Okay, depends what you want. But you know what? She's at your fingertips. So if you have any questions and you
Yes.
can't find something, you can text her or message her and
Yeah,
she will lead you in the right direction.
I
So
will.
and if you want refresher courses on stuff too, like beginner pencil, beginner pastel, all
Yes.
that stuff, you can go to her website and she has a bunch of the free
Yeah, how
videos there.
to's. Some
How
how
to.
to's.
Yeah, there as well. I'll put all that in the chat as far as I'll put her website in the chat for you so you can go there and purchase things to create more art. Yay.
Exactly.
If you're
Yay.
watching the replay, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch the replay as well. And you may also ask questions. If you're in Facebook, you put the @ sign next to Lydia's name, and she will be notified that there's a question there. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, text Lydia. I mean, they can email you at Lydia at
Oh, Gmail. Lydia Steeves at gmail.com.
There you go. LydiaSteeves@gmail.com if you're watching on YouTube and you have any questions for Lydia or interested in more of her art, and you didn't get to her website because you didn't read the messages. I know reading's overrated. I just want it now. Just give it to me. Don't make
Oh
me look
dear.
for it. But anyways, here we are. It is 7:06, and I'm going to put the camera over onto Miss Lydia so that she can take it away with her cute little design. You're going to share it with us right now.
I am going to, so we're going to do this tonight, and then at yeah, it's a little bit faded with the lighting, but it's a really nice background to do. And I did ask my sister, who lives up north, if she actually gets these kinds of skies, and she said yes. Sometimes they get some beautiful, beautiful skies. So there you go. We're official. Okay. And so we will do that beautiful sky tonight because I'll show you, I think we have time anyways to get the whole thing done and show you a sky. So I use these pan pastels. You don't have to. If you have just like a box set, then you can just make like you can take a stick and rub it on some sandpaper and make it dusty. And then you can apply with one of these, just like what we're going to be doing right now. Because, they're a little bit expensive, but they actually are worth it. I think, and you can mix and match. So you can buy them one at a time and, as your budget allows. And then they're actually on sale quite a bit, maybe around, September and things like that. So this first color is diarylide yellow. And so you will, put some on this little sponge, and we're going to go sideways. Okay, and you're going to come down, oh, I don't know, a good third to a half. And as you come down, try not to go all the way across. So, because we want to have a little bit of a diagonal thing going. So we've got that. I usually put a piece of tracing paper underneath my paper just to catch the dust, make it a little bit easier. Okay, now this is permanent red tint. So the fun thing about pan pastels is you can get a tint, then you can get the actual bright, you can get a dark and an extra dark, all in this permanent red, which is kind of fun. So then I've got this on another sponge, and you'll start below the yellow and work up into the yellow. So you can see I'm sort of staying on this side just till I get the idea going here.
Here's a quick question for you. Are you using Stonehenge paper?
Always, yes.
Okay, always.
Yeah, that's the only kind I use. All right, so as you're coming up to the yellow, you get to decide how much pink you want and how much yellow you want. When you think you've got it, flip your sponge over and just finish it up so that it blends nicely together. If you keep going and going and going and going, then you're going to get rid of all of your yellow. And well, that's okay if that's what you want. Okay, then you can flip it over and you can blend it. And then just come up here again, slightly on the angle. I haven't added any more pastel to my sponge. And you just want to have a nice little joining with some peachy type color in there. And then the last color is going to be this violet tint, and you'll start way at the bottom here. Again, you'll come up and into the pink, and it'll be a nice blending again. If you feel like you need to have help to blend, flip it over to the clean side and join it up together. And then don't add any more pastel. Just use what's on here, and you will take this violet and you'll come up and you'll just go in that whole bare area. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a diagonal thing going on still. Now with pastel, when you fix it, it will darken. Usually, so this is going to end up darkening. I already have one. You might not be able to see it because tints are a little bit more delicate, I suppose. But if you are using dark values of pastel, when you spray them, they become fairly dark. So just keep that in mind as you are doing most of your pastels. Okay, so I would tap that like that. And this is the one I use. I use a workable fixative by Krylon, and you'll just take it outside and you'll spray it just a couple of times, just so that you fix this. So you'll take a white piece of toilet paper or Kleenex or something, and you'll just rub it gently and see if you pull up any color. If you pull up color, you might need to do another one. Just do a light coat though. If you do too much and you really get in there and spray and spray and spray and spray and spray, then you've really changed the tooth of the paper and it's not going to be as accepting. I'm just going to take that little tiny piece of pink off of there. Okay, and that's it. Usually these backgrounds are not really that hard to do. They're not so complex. Occasionally we like to get into that, but for the most part, they're pretty easy to do. And people usually like the pan pastels after you've used a couple of them. You tend to say, yeah, that's what I would like. So when you put on your pattern, It's another thing I just wanted to address, especially because he's white. You can have some of the transfer line showing. That's not always a problem. It's just that you have to be a little bit careful. And as you are putting the pattern on, just keep an eye on what is going to be dark and what is going to be light. And can you actually take off the graphite when you need to? I want to tell you about another fixative. If you're allergic or if you live in an apartment or something like that, there is this Degas fixative. And it does work. It's wetter than the other sprays. And you really have to make sure that it's dry before you continue on with it. But there is that option as well. So you can see what I've done. See how I've just kind of given myself a little sort of almost a broken line on him this time around, because he is going to be kind of white down here and he's going to be white there. All right, so if you have any questions about pan pastels, pop them into the chat. And I do have like a full movie or video on my website about them as well. So there's always that. All right, so that's it. And now it's going to be coloring. We're going to start off with sienna brown, and make sure your pencil's sharp, because we're going to start in here with the eye. And I just colored the whole eye in, actually. Don't make the eye too big. I think in general, bears have small eyes. And then you're going to put the pupil in. And he is, you can kind of see he's looking up. So the pupil is at the top with the iris underneath. Again, keep your pencil sharp. Maybe a little bit more towards the front than the back if you have a choice. Keep it flat at the top. And then it's just this is just small. So you don't really want to, like, I don't know, get carried away and really start to do too much. So then we are going to outline the iris, basically around here. We're going to finish the eye a little bit, make it not too almondy, but you know, there's a front and a back to it, and have it down, point it down towards that nose. Think of it more as a bit of a sketching more than anything else. All right, and there is a smudginess around the eye, so you could put a little smudgy. Okay, just keep it smudgy though. Don't make it really super black. And then we're going to color in the nose and the lips, etc. So find the nostril first, and maybe press just a little bit harder, or put a couple of extra layers on. So there's a nostril. And I don't know, there's more black down. That's a little bit stronger down here. Okay, and then we'll just color in a little bit lighter. It's up to you. There's quite a few little parts to the nose. So there's that nostril, and there's this little darkness here. And then this part here is actually fur on the other side. I'm going to try to get some of that anyways. And then this little line. And then the lips. So I'm going to color them like with an up and down stroke because, you know, it's furry coming over them. And make sure that you've got that little dip. Keep twisting your pencil so that you have a sharp edge. And then it comes a little bit rounder at the end. Yeah. So we are going to get to dark umber, if I can find that. It says burnt umber in the actual notes, but that's just because I can't ever remember that it's actually dark umber. And you know, burnt umber, of course, is our paint color. All right, there we go. Yeah, dark umber. And we're just going to lightly color in the ear. So this little section right in here. And so keep in mind that we want white coming in front of the ear. So as we're coloring this, we know not to make a straight line here. Keep in mind a fluffy. Okay. And then we will change to cool gray 90. And we're going to color in the dark in this area here, the chin and the muzzle, etc. So make sure we've got cool gray 90 and not indigo. I quite often pick up the wrong one, and that's a mistake, that's for sure. All right, so now this is a dark color, and we definitely want this area dark, but I'm just putting on little short strokes. Okay, and I'm coming up in here. And we're coming along here. I'm not coloring super dark, and I'm not putting my strokes really, really tight together. Giving myself a little bit of breathing room, and we'll bring this up, up, up towards the eye. And it should join right here with that smudginess that we were talking about earlier. Now, part of what we do often is we tend to make stripes. So try not to do that. This is actually a fairly zigzaggy section. Try to keep that. Just be easier to bring other things and join. Because we don't want to end up with a big stripy thing. All right, and then we are going to color in his chin as well. Again, just slightly, just slightly. Thinking about our shapes. Just want to point out one more thing. Notice how it's slightly curved down here. So this is the center point. These guys go this way, and then that just is a little tiny dip down. This adds to that turned edge that we try for often. All right, got that in there. And there's more still to come, but I think what we'll do next is we'll take our white and start to plan out some of the white. Now, one thing you do need to, I guess, try to grasp is, for one thing, polar bears are not pure white. They're kind of a yellowy look. And for another thing, we actually I think, like this sky and like the fact that a white thing often picks up tints and things from the environment. So, you know, we've got some yellow in there. We'll be putting some sort of purplish in there too, and maybe even a little bit of vermilion later. And so you see the white paper against the white of that bear, and you would be hard pressed to find anywhere that is super white. There's a little tiny bit there, maybe a bit there. So you have to just take that right out of your mind that we're making a white thing with this white pencil. It's not going to be that. But we're going to do it anyways because, you know, that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to start off with this. Just start to make some hairs following some fur directions. So these guys are going up, and then up here, this is the brow bone. And then we'll bring it over. And there is a dip in that head. Maybe not quite as what I've got there, but I can fix that as we go on. Okay, so you can see again, I'm not filling in every single thing. I'm not putting all my strokes really, really tight together. You're just planning out a few things here. I'm going to make this part whitish on his ear. And come down. And then the back as white. It's like a backlit view. All right, so that's going to be the whitest part of the bear. And then we're going to go back to the nose and we're going to put some other white lines. Okay, that's actually going to end up being blue-ish. Keep going. And you can put this white where we're going to end up with darks anyways, because it's easier to cover white than it is another color. Okay, sharpen that pencil. Because I'm really pressing fairly hard. And coming down. Uh-oh, I might have to throw somebody out of this room. I have 3 boys. They're about 14 weeks old. We've been sick all week, so they are now bad, just like human children, where you've coddled them and given them all the treats that they want, you know, all that kind of stuff, and now they're rotten. Okay. Oh, more than anything, you just want to change your direction and your length of stroke as you get to different areas of the bear. So don't forget to also do that little curvy part right there. Keep that in mind. Won't really show up too much yet, but it will come. Okay, and here comes that fluff in front of that ear. Just planning it out here, trying to get the flow of the hair. Okay, so this is going to be right in here, like a jaw. He's tickling my ear. Right. Now on the chin, as with pretty much all animals, we've got fairly short hair. Then there's this line. We'll make some longer strokes as we go along. That's his, I guess, esophagus, I suppose. Okay, then sharpen up again. And at some point, you're going to want to turn your strokes a little bit down, and then they get longer. This is its shoulder. Okay, so let's go up to the ear next and just finish that. So there'll be very thick ears. Thick fur on this. Okay, so these are up like that. And these will be slightly upwards. And then you'll start to tip them down again. Just a bit. Okay, and then this part here, you'll be swinging it to the back. Oh, sharpen again. Just fill that in there. And now we're back to the actual neck. So this part was the chin, shorter, and then gradually you will get longer on that edge. So see, these ones come down and then they come straight. And these ones come out to that left, like down and curvy, slightly left. He was kind of shaggy. Keep going, keep going. And then we'll fill in the rest of this. So keep it a little bit rough. Don't think that you want to have it super smooth for two reasons, actually. One is, of course, he doesn't have super smooth. He's not a beloved pet. And it's just, if you go for smooth too quickly, then you have nothing to work with. So we want to keep it just a little bit rough. I'm just going to come up here and look. Do I like what's going on? I think we're okay. Yeah, I think we're all right. Okay, so we've got some white, we've got our parts all arranged, and now comes a little bit of adding a few shades. So we actually are going to use indigo blue, and plus we're going to use the French 70. And in a little bit, we're going to use that blue lake, blue violet lake. So the first color is indigo blue, and this is a very strong color. I cannot emphasize that enough. Just put a hint of blue over the black here. You can always add more. But if you add too much at this stage, well, you can take it off too, but you'll be fighting it. So you can see, you think, we're doing this, you can't see it, and you want to press harder, but try not to do that. Okay, so we've got that coming up here, but there's also a little bit more. Little something here, a dent in his head to show that brow bone. And we have a little tiny, I guess it must be a center section that would come down towards the nose. Like if you were looking at him straight on, he'd be down right down the middle of the nose. Again, it's going to be, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to make that, I'm going to get that, I'm going to get that. Pull back, pull back. Right, we just want a little tint. I guess that's the fun thing about doing some white animals is that you can play with a few other colors. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue right in here too. Maybe just a wee bit here. This is the shadow side of him, which is why we're trying to put a bit of blue. Okay, so you think, why is she even bothering? You can't even see it. Yes, yes, you can. All right, so let's just put a little bit more, and then I got some here, yes, got some there. I'm going to also put some at the base of this ear, because it's going to go in to the head. All right, let's just stop that. And now we're going to switch to French gray, which is not that bad a color, not that scary a color. And we're going to get some of these more subtle lines in here. Okay. And again, as you're doing this, we love to make a very straight, exact, same size stripe from top to bottom. Try not to do that. A little bit smaller up here, a little bit larger down here, do a little zigzaggy. And that, I guess, is his jaw. Yeah, probably. And it's coming towards this line, but it's not going to hit, it's not going to actually touch it. Okay, so, and then the next one is not what we normally would do, which would be shade behind. We're going to take the back of the ear and we are going to come down. Again, thin to a little bit thicker. Zigzag it, zigzag it. Okay, there we go. Got that little something going on there. And then we'll do this throat piece. And it's fairly straight, but again, just try to have a few lines, just that stray up here, down below. And so I guess that's right. I'm going to come back up into this section. And you might, just to tone the blue, okay, because again, that's what I was saying, that this is shadowed. This is a shadowed cheek because the light's coming from behind. What do you think? I think we're going to just hold right there. If you want, you can take this blue violet lake now, and you can put a little bit of blue in some of these French 70 areas, but don't get too carried away. You can always add those, later. And now we're going to add this OMS. And we'll see what we've done. Just get my paper towel here. So we'll just squeeze that. There we go. And we will put it on everything. So you see what I mean about the blue. Just be careful that you don't push this black out into your very pretty background. Not have to worry all that much, but occasionally it can happen. If you fixed your background, you can definitely come out here, for instance, and for instance here, because you might want to take off some of your transfer lines. Let's get a little bit closer here. And we probably could have done a little bit more smudgy around the eyes. We'll get to that. All right, let's get our, probably the 0 is your better bet. And I always like to make sure that I cleaned it. Just because then you know what you've got. All right, so you see how you can really activate that blue now. You probably thought that I wasn't putting any on at all, but look how blue it's turning. Okay, so I'm just kind of rubbing, carefully rubbing the nose. And right there. You can change to your 0, your 0, 0. If you would like to have just a little bit more control. Just wipe off as you need. Okay, and then you can rub your white as well. And you can smudge things around. Don't feel like that blue has to say exactly where you put it. In fact, it's better if you smudge it. I'll just smudge into my black a bit too, just to soften it.
So Lydia, if Judy cannot see her white strokes, what would be your suggestion?
Ignore it and move on. Truly, I'm not trying to be silly, but if you get stuck on that, then you'll end up putting way too much white on, and you'll use up all the tooth of your paper, and later when we do other steps, the paper won't have anything left to give you. Never get stuck on a beginning stroke or a beginning step.
Are you on a particular step now?
We're just on photo 1.
Okay, someone just said, what step are you on now?
Photo 1. We've only put 1 layer of stuff on, so we're only on the first photo. I'm just rubbing this in. I think sometimes, like what I was saying before, we just want everything to show very clearly and right now. And that's not the way it works. You got to put some stuff on. If you can't see it, that's fine. Just put it on to the best of your ability, come around, because if you go too dark, too fast, then you're in a bigger pickle. Okay. So if you've got some graphite that you really, really think is going to be detrimental and you're not going to like it much at all, that's why I get these perfection erasers. And there's pink ones and there's white ones. Get the white one. Okay, and then you can just erase. It won't come off completely, but you'll soften it. And it has a little brush. Some of them come with a little brush if you like that. Okay. And I keep wiping your tip, because as you're taking off all that, it's coming on your tip. All right, so there we go. And if you take a little bit off, then it's easier to cover with a colored pencil as well. So I might just take a couple of these ones off too. Yeah. Don't spend too much time on it, just kind of hit and miss. And then it does take off your colored pencil too, of course, right? So you might need to go back and put a couple more strokes on just along that edge. Okay, so we're on photo 2. If you are going to get these little moon scrubbers, you can get them at the Scharf website, and I've given you a link in the website. The 00, when you ordered it, it's 2/0. That's the 00. So for some reason, they label it differently than what they put on their order form. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for it. All right, so now we get to do a few more of these little details. So the first thing we're going to do is get a nice sharp yellow ochre. Get pretty sharp, like really sharp, because it's a very small eye. And you're going to just go in at the front of the eye, on the iris, and towards the back. I'm just going to take that sienna brown again and bring that orangey red back. And then we'll sharpen up our black. And we will get that eye in properly. So have a look at the shape of it. Okay, so it's quite angled down. And this pointy part, or the highest point, is quite close to the front. That's going to make a big difference to the look of the eye. So I'm going around the bottom here again of the iris. And I think I'm going to also do the pupil, just to get the pupil a little bit darker. And there is that little flat angle. Don't make them round. And I mean, we don't necessarily want him looking like he's going to come and eat you, but you know, he is a polar bear after all. And there might be a little triangle at the front, not a big one. Maybe a little triangle at the back, just so we can put a French gray or something like that in there. Okay, so you see how that's flat? Black around the bottom, tip down. And we can put a few smudgies. We didn't put very many smudgies there. All right, just a few smudgies, teeny, a little bit up here. This is his forehead. So that has to come fairly straight upwards too. So when they close their eyes are pretty deep in their head, and we're trying to make that look.
I'm a little bit behind. Billy's asking what eraser were you using?
Oh, this is a Perfection 7058B by Faber-Castell. Get the white one. And you can sharpen this in your electric sharpener. I do that all the time. All right, where are we here? French gray 10%. I'm having trouble with my colors. I thought I was already here. Okay. So we're going to, I'm going to sharpen my pencil. There we go. All right. So we're going to make a very, very small white of eye. Very, very small white of eye back here. If you make it too big, easy, just put a little black over top of it. And let's just put a bit of an eyelid above there. So that means I didn't put enough smudgy. So I'm going to put a little more smudgy back there. See, so I can actually see that eyelid. Not eyelashes, but just a line across. Right? If your white's too big, they're barely there. It's a teeny eye. I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to say that one because they're very beady eyes. Beady eyes. And we could put a sparkle, not that there is a sparkle in the eye, but we like to have one. I don't know, it makes it come alive a little bit. But there, you know, in the photo, there wasn't a sparkle. Gives them a personality, perhaps. All right, so continuing with French grade 10. We are now going to, with small circles, highlight this nose. So hopefully you didn't do what I did, which is now I can't really find my nostril. So I'm going to have to just draw it again, but I'm okay. So make sure it comes down like this and up and then around. Not all the way around, just a little ways down. And a little bit of a highlight right here. Now remember we said we had some black there. Try to keep that. And we will do a bit on this edge too. So then take your black and look at the shape and add the black back where you think you need. So I needed some at the top, and you can come down in that circle way. Maybe you need to darken those nostrils again. Okay, that's not too bad. You know, when you add the black, you might have to add the lights back. So you can, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. Do that with French 10. And then you can, of course, you can always pop it up just that little tiny bit with the white. Less is more. Less is more. If you do too much, you just bring back the black again. Okay, I'm thinking that looks okay. Back to French 10. It's going to take this French 10, a sharp one, and make little tiny fuzzy lines, especially along the bottom of his smile. Don't make it too long. And you still want to see the black. So these are gray hairs over top of his black skin. Just little tiny tick, 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 ticks. Just think about the fur direction again. So you're coming down here, yes, but then they're going to have to go backwards too. I always have to kind of keep an eye on the fact that, you know, there are bones under there, and that indicates how the fur direction. Go right into the white. Should start looking not too bad pretty quickly. I'm trying to make this a little bit whiter or brighter. And then you can put some things on that little tiny piece of black as well. And then we want to have his chin up here brightened. Just that little piece there, just that little piece. I think I've even gone a little too far. If you really think, see that little tiny piece right there? That's what we're trying. Okay, wipe off your tip. And make this shape. It's all about the shapes that you're making, really. You know, if they're super straight and they're super unforgiving, I guess, they won't look as nice as if you've got some sort of a curvy thing happening. Right? Can you still see where this could be a little curve of light? It's not quite there yet, but we've got it. Okay. Is this too crazy? Did you just let that blue get away from you? If so, just take your kneaded eraser and you can actually pull quite a bit of it off. So, you know, just pull away what you want. So, and is that shadow shape a nice shape? Did you make it straight? If so, pull a little off, come back with this French gray and put some lines over top. It's nice to use the gray if you can, because it will neutralize the blue. If you put white on it, it seems to bring it all forward as well. All right, so I think that's going to be okay. So then let's just put a little bit and maybe neutralize some of this blue too. Don't get carried away. Don't fill it all in. Don't go say, oh my God, now I have to get this and I have to get it right. Don't do that. Remember, there's more coming. And if you do too much with these light colors that aren't showing, then you're going to get into, you're just not going to have any room to move or add. Right. So now we're going to do that white. So wipe off that tip. Keep the tip clean and press pretty hard and get that profile. And now that I have taken off whatever transfer lines, I can get this to work a little bit better. Okay, all the way there. And remember, it's not a nice round bulbous shape. He's kind of lumpy. All right, keep going there. Brighten up down here. Brighten up the front part, front edge. Come around top. but not too far. That's going to be shadowed. Okay, we're going to really work this forehead though. Okay, remember we were saying we want this to really look like it's coming up and that he's got a protruding forehead. All these little bits, pick them up and just be careful when you're brushing away. See how I've done that? Here we go. This is Bobby. He's the biggest whiner.
He's helping you out tonight.
Oh, they're just, like I say, they're just so clingy now after being and this is Bo.
Oh, she's pretty.
Filthy nose. And Billy's behaving himself. So he's just laying on the couch, or not the couch, the cushion.
Sounds like the Brady Bunch.
Oh, God, I'm telling you, they were doing so well, like on Sunday, I was feeling guilty. I had such 3 wonderful little boys all to myself, and then they crashed on Monday. But fingers crossed, I think they might be pulling out of it. Okay, so I'm just doing with little tiny short strokes. Trying to get this forehead in. Once I've got that in, I think I'm pretty much going to be away to the races. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay. There we go. And you can always add more shadow later. So see how I've got this nice little shape coming down, little shape there, not straight. And we've got this dip. We've got this dip here, nice and white there. There's my little eyelid, and that's the eyebrow section. Okay. And it's not completely smooth. It's not pure white. You still see some of these other little parts. Wait. And just going to keep going here, filling this in just a bit, just a little bit. I want to have this. Okay, just some white, because, well, we are thinking white-ish. White-ish. Because we are also going to bring in sand. We want him yellowish. That's right. Okay. I can still see my background through. So I have not, with these 2 layers of white, I have not completely covered my background. Not yet. Okay, so I'm going to change to sand because we want this part, like from his ear, just a yellowish. Okay, go over your shade, that French 70 that we put in. This part here is going to have some sand. Not tight together. Don't put your stroke super tight. Keep it rough. Very hard for us to do that. We always want to get smooth. But if you go too smooth too fast, all you do is fill the tooth of the paper. All right, so now I'm going to keep this part because their bodies are yellowier as the shoulder. Okay, I'm going to put some up the neck too. Plus, we've got this yellow glow that we would like. All right, now we're going to bring it on home. Bring it on home. You're on your final photo. We take our scrubber, the 0. Make sure it's clean. And we're going to rub him. And so this is where you're going to put that brush down and just go like that. And put it down and go, and you have to say that. Okay.
Those noises make it go better.
Yes, it does. Because if it's not, you're not polishing it like a piece of furniture. We're just gonna get in there and rub, 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 rub. You're doing something very specific. You're putting your brush down and just kind of moving it back like that, just so we can, smooth it a little bit. And you can actually move your color. Okay, so you see, I'm liking that. I'm actually liking that. Okay. Now in here, wipe off your brush again, and you can go in here and smooth a little bit too. Try not to smooth too much on that one because it's very much black skin with this white on top. And if you take away those little furry bits, then all you have is a gray muzzle, and that's not what we're doing. Okay, so now up here, trying to smooth half your brush in the black and half the brush in the white. Okay, very carefully. And you could go to your 00 for that too, of course. Okay, wipe off your brush. And of course, trying to get them back to eating these three little kittens, you try all sorts of things. And so now they each like a different kind of food. So I've got one on Fancy Feast and one on this Royal Canin kitten. And then I've got one on, there's another food now. There's so many different kinds of foods. Spay and neuter food. So they're not neutered. Not yet anyways, but anyways. So when I feed them, I have to open up 3 different cans. But that's okay because they're cute. Okay, so we're just kind of, this nicely blue shadowed cheek thing here. All right, just very carefully, gently, just kind of rub it. And you actually do want a little bit of that purple background showing through still. I would say everything is covered now with something, maybe not on the edges because I've been a little sloppy there, but it does have pencil everywhere. It's just not so thick that I tried to obliterate the background. Colored pencil doesn't do that well anyways. Okay. Oh, let's not forget the ear. There. So at this particular stage, you have to look at your little guy. Okay, so sometimes I did him the other day and I ended up with this line and this line straight, parallel, looking exactly the same. So if that's the case for you, take your little eraser and take some off. Just take it off and then change the angle, change the shape. Now I took it off too much, but I can show you how I'm going to put it back on too. Okay, so just look very carefully at something like that. Look at this shape. This part here, we definitely want that. I think you do anyways. I'm going to try to get that even better. And then look at these lines here and this one. It needs to be slightly curved. And they're there, but they're not crisp lines like his mouth. Okay, so it's just a suggestion of that shape. They don't come straight down to here. Sort of fades off. And then this one is a little bit more of a curve. So are they parallel? If they are, you've got to change something. So you've got a couple of options for the next step. You can use the French 70, and you can also use light umber. Sometimes you just don't want the same color again. And we're going to just check. Maybe you would like to do some tufts a little bit more. Like maybe he has wet cheeks or something. So you could put a few lines. Don't get too carried away, but you can get a little bit more of an interesting shape. If you love your guy, just, don't worry too much. I'd like this to show up a little bit more. So I'm going to put just a teeny tiny bit of shadow behind it. This is like a shadow behind something rather than a line, like a positive shape. Okay, so I've got that. Kind of touch there. Maybe a little bit more shadow back on this ear. And don't do the same thing. Like you've got this part, that's good. Don't do this one exactly the same. What about this? Do you need a little bit more here? Maybe you want to change the line of it. Maybe you want to come over here and bring it a little bit further this way. Just do a few things to change things up a bit. And remember, I was going to say I took maybe a little too much of that away. I think I would put a teeny bit back. I'm barely touching the surface on this, okay? Just barely, just kind of tickle, 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 tickle. All right, what else would we like to do? And if you don't want to use light umber, don't feel like you need to. Not like I've forgotten something, but hopefully I'll come around and get it again. And so we would like to darken in this ear as well. And we're going to do that with Cool 90, keeping in mind those fluffies that are coming in front. Okay. Not the same darkness all the way to the top. Darker at the bottom, and then fading and get to the top. I feel like I want still more smudgies, and I think that's dark umber. I think I'm going to go back to my dark umber, just again, just a little tiny bit. Less is more with this guy. Okay, looking. I like his eye a lot. This looks unfinished to me. So when I take the black again, make sure you got the black and not that pesky blue. Telling you how many times I've picked up the blue instead, and fortunately I figured it out in time. I'm going to take my little 00 and I'm going to rub So now you've got a few choices again. You can use French 10. You could use white. And there's cream in your palette as well. So we probably naturally want to use the white. But we've used it twice already before, so maybe we should change it up a bit. And maybe the cream is a good idea. Especially down in this area. And you're almost using it like a burnishing. If you just stuck with the sand and white, you'd end up with cream. So these are your final, whatever you want to call it, finishings of your white fur here. The nice thing about using the cream is that you'll maybe get a little bit of a greenish tint in here too. And that's kind of nice. Right? The whole bear does not have to be done again. You're just smoothing things out, adding a little bit more. If you think that your blue is just like out of control still, you can, take some off again, like we showed you before, or you could use your gray, because that's a good neutralizer. And I'm going to sharpen again. I just want to go back to this muzzle part here, because I smoothed it, the lips. So now I just want to put a little bit more back on. And again, two layers of something is better than one. Just again with fur, just makes them more complex. Oh, see, well, I don't know. I think that looks better. I hope you think so too. Okay, so remember we did that, and I thought maybe I got it a little too far down. It's very hard if you want to sweep the debris off. Everything's pretty soft, and you are in danger of smooshing things a little bit too much. I'm going to add some OMS to that inside of ear and give that a rub. And I think it's gotten up too far. So I'm going to bring with French 10 back down. Okay. When you think you're pretty much done, let's just give all of this dark that we added a little rub. I did put some tints. So I've got this blue violet lake, and I put it down the front or the edge of his throat. You can put white back, you can put cream back again, you can put that French 10 back again. You want it to be there, but you want it to be subtle. Do you need more blue there? I'd say the answer is no on mine. Maybe a bit back here. Hmm, I don't think I want to put too much blue in there. I could put some here. And then this pale vermilion, just one of my favorite colors. I didn't want pink, but this is kind of a pretty color, I think. So I put some down the throat. Maybe in here. You know, wherever you would. Oh, just remember, especially at this stage, when you rub, little tiny back and forth, little tiny back and forth, little tiny back and forth. And then when you look at your whole piece, just try to see if you've got any parallel lines that are not really doing their job. Okay. If you really think that you need it whiter, you can always use that Neo Color water soluble wax pastel, this one here that we've got. I don't think I do. I think I'm okay. But you know, you might decide that you just want a little ping of white and you're not getting it with your pencil. You might want to just do it with that. Sometimes this works better after the OMS has dried. What do you think? I think that's it. I do believe that might be it. Okay. Life is good. See, less is more. Just make sure. And then I want to show you the next one. This is going to be on February the 5th. We had to move it up to a Thursday. I hope that's okay. Wanted it before Valentine's. Cutie Pie Pop. There we go. How's everybody doing?
They are doing well. They love the little polar bear, and they you can go look at the accolades later and answer any questions that I missed. Um, but there were several, so that's nice. Someone get an angry face. I don't know why they do that. But anyways, so yeah, in finding the lives, always look for the little red triangle live in the upper left corner. And if you don't see it right away by 5 minutes past the hour, hit the reboot or refresh button. Sometimes it's a circle on your toolbar. Hit the refresh button and it should pop up at the top of the Artfully Connected Facebook page. And I always pin it in the featured area. It'll be there for a month. Now, Facebook is eliminating videos after 1 month, these live videos.
Right, right.
So I'll try, to keep it up there for the month anyways. I usually do until it says content no longer available. Then I take it down. But I
Right.
do go, I do go over it. I put it in the YouTube Artfully Connected Facebook channel, so you can find a lot of her Watch, Learn, and Creates
Yeah,
over
there's
there.
quite a few there. Yeah.
Yeah, and your pastel pieces. So I am still in the process of doing that. Periodically, I post, like 5 more or something like that. And other ones, if they're not there, they're probably in the video library of artfullyconnected.com. So thank you so much, Lydia, for
Yeah.
sharing that with us. And
Okay.
I put your link in there, and I put the link for the eraser in there as well. I found one on Dick Blick for less than
Yeah. Yeah,
$3.
you should be able to find them fairly easily.
Yeah, they look a lot like those typewriter erasers we used to use with
Maybe
a
they
little
work.
brush.
Maybe those ones work too if you still
Yeah,
have
little
them.
brush on the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the old
Don't
days.
buy the pink ones though. Don't buy pink because few people have had that with the OMS and the pink, and then you got a pink on
Yeah.
your piece. So try to get the right
Someone
ones.
had asked if you could use that on the graphite lines as well.
Well, that's what I was using it on.
There you go. See, so that's what she was using it. And so, anyways, yeah, if you ever have any questions and you can't find this, you can always message me in Facebook. And I do have the Facebook open, so I see if people are trying to get a hold of me. Otherwise, yeah, I always put it up in featured, and you can always watch the replay there for a month, and then after that on YouTube. Okie dokie.
Sounds like a
So
plan, Stan.
we look forward to the pup in a couple weeks and
Yeah.
hope everyone will join us for that. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Lydia, for sharing your talents with us once again. And thank you, everybody. And don't forget, you can always get your pattern packets or see her free demo videos on her channel, her Facebook, sorry, on her website, lydiasteeves.com, and go over there and check that out. Until next time, everyone, have a good weekend.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everyone. Take care.
See you.